Hi, this is Jeff from Evans Tuning. In this video, we're going to talk about dyno tuning and street tuning and why they're both important. First, I'd like to talk about dyno tuning. So dyno tuning a car allows you to operate your car in a controlled environment. Doing so on the dyno allows you to dial in the fuel, the ignition timing, the variable cam, the boost control, and other factors such as that in a controlled environment that you're able to measure before and after differences when you change, let's say, ignition timing. So if you're operating a car full throttle and you add 1 degree more ignition timing, theoretically it should give you more power, but in some cases it won't. And without having a dyno, you really don't know what that change will do. So operating in a controlled environment allows you to look at what you're doing with data from your data logging, and you're able to put the two together and you're able to know exactly what the cause and effect is while you're tuning. Some other aspects of dyno tuning that are very important are safety. So, if you're running your car high RPM, high speeds on the dyno, that's something you would be doing on the street. Another benefit of dyno tuning is the ability to troubleshoot a problem right when it happens. When you're on the dyno, typically you have your toolbox right there, you have all your diagnostic equipment, you can get out right on the spot, you can get right to the car, get under the hood, address the problem, what's wrong, something that you couldn't do on the street, safely at least, popping your hood alongside the road, not having your tools, that it ends up being a disaster. So being able to do that on the dyno right when it happens is key to being able to dial the car in quickly and efficiently. The last critical thing I want to talk about with dyno tuning is the ability to instantaneously shut down the car if the condition you're running in it is unsafe. So say you have an overboosting situation where you're targeting 15 and the thing goes to 25 pounds, or let's just say you start a run and you start seeing the ECU register knock, which can blow the engine, you can back out of it right away. On the street, you can't do that. You have to, there's time between finding out what's going on and trying to get off the throttle, where that lapse of time could be the difference of keeping the engine together or not. So at this point, you're probably wondering, why should I ever street tune my car? I've heard all these awesome things about dyno tuning. Sounds like street tuning could be bad. And that's where you're wrong. Street tuning ties together all the key aspects of the dyno tune and puts them in real world conditions. But there are things that don't happen on the dyno that we need to address while driving the car on the street, such as on-off throttle, coming from a decel to a stop, make sure the car doesn't stall, throttle response, driving the car down the road, making sure you have good throttle response, there's not a lag in the throttle, making sure your fuel trims for your part throttle are on point. If you have an OBD2 car, OBD1 car, your short and long-term fuel trims have to be as close to zero as possible. There's other things such as driving the car over a span of 10 to 20 minutes in different conditions, going up hills, going down hills, making sure that the car drives the way it should for the 95% of the time that you drive your car. That 5% that you're full throttle, that's great and all. Dyno tuning is the only way to do it, but that's not where you're going to be driving your car majority of the time. So it's really key that once a dyno tune is performed, that you do a street tune afterwards. The most important thing about street tuning is you. It's the way that you drive your car and the conditions that you drive them every day. Having your tuner drive your car, having your friend drive your car isn't the same as having you drive your car. And that's a big difference I see in a lot of people that do street tuning. They don't have the client take the car out with them and drive the car in the conditions that they drive them in. So case in point, if you're coming to a stop sign and the car stick shift, if you drive and you clutch in and you keep the car in first gear as you're coming to the stop sign, or if you clutch in, pull the car out of gear, and then let the car decelerate down to the stop sign. Those two conditions, one can create a stalling, one may not create a stalling condition. So having you drive the car the way you drive it, not someone else, is key in letting the person who's doing the street tuning get the car dialed in for how you drive. When you're looking to have your car professionally tuned, you want to look at what they do in their process. They would need to be able to dyno tune the car and street tune the car to get the complete tuning package so that your car is calibrated and runs properly in all the conditions, not just full throttle that you spend 5% of your time at, but the 95% that you're going to be doing idling, driving every day to your job or to go to the grocery store. You want to make sure that both are done. You also want to make sure that you're present driving the car while the street tuning is being done, so that it's customized to how you drive your car. Just keep this stuff in mind, when you're looking for a tuning shop, and make sure that they do everything to give you the best possible tune for your money.